got some great news on J.J. McCarthy as Kevin O'Connell says J.J. will get extensive work on the field during the team's bye week this week. What's going on, everybody? My name is Patrick Siepman, and you are watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Now, this is absolutely massive. J.J. McCarthy back out there on the playing field this week. Should have a full week of practice leading up next week to the Week 7 matchup against the Philadelphia Eagles. And as we know, 22 years old, coming off that torn meniscus. This guy needs all the reps he can get, so it is absolutely massive that he will be back out there on the football field this week and hopefully getting some high-quality reps next week leading up to that game because he's got to continue to build that connection with Justin Jefferson especially, but also continue to build that connection with Jordan Addison as he is now back in the fold for this Vikings offense. But if you guys want to show J.J. McCarthy some love on today's show, type his jersey number, type those 9s down below in the comment section. People are jumping off the bandwagon. People aren't feeling too hot about the 22-year-old, but if you are and you're going to support the kid, type those number 9s in the comment section. And I do just want to get this little take out here to start off today's show. People need to hop on the J.J. McCarthy bandwagon before it's too late because I see all the comments. I read almost every single one I get on all my videos, and some people are saying the Vikings can't turn back to J.J. This is Carson Wentz's team. They need to ride out with number 11. They can't go back to number 9. I'll say this, the Vikings need J.J. McCarthy because if you want to accomplish what you were trying to do before the start of the season, J.J. McCarthy is the guy that will get you there. I understand. Carson Wentz, he did a fantastic job. He excelled at being a backup quarterback. Starter missed 3 games. Normally you would just hope that that backup can go in there and win you maybe 1 game, but Carson Wentz excelled. He won us 2 games, so he did his job. This is no slight to Wentz. I will respect his toughness, his grittiness. He was getting his ass kicked in both those games, but he stood strong in the pocket, delivered some nice footballs, and he also had that game-winning drive that, potentially saved the Vikings season Week 5 against the Cleveland Browns. But like I was saying, if the Vikings do want to accomplish their goals, and that is winning a playoff game, it will be because of J.J. McCarthy. I love Carson Wentz and what he has done. But if this team wants to go and win a playoff game, J.J. needs to be the reason why. Because you have a stacked roster, you got a stacked coaching staff, but if you want to get there, it's going to come down to number 9 developing. Because Carson Wentz, he's great, like I said, but are you winning a playoff game in a loaded NFC with Carson Wentz under the helm? Probably not. But if J.J. can develop into a top 15, top 18 quarterback, at least by, hopefully December, January, then the Vikings can finally accomplish what they set out to at the beginning of the season. And, the Vikings offense here in Week 7, this is potentially what it could look like. You're going to have Christian Darrisaw out there. You're going to have Will Fries. Now, question marks on the offensive line. I'm assuming you're going to get Donovan Jackson back at that left guard spot. Will Fries, like I said, he'll be out there. Brian O'Neill, big question mark. Probably best guess would be he's 50-50 coming off that sprained MCL. And then the center position, obviously Ryan Kelly won't be out there. So I'm guessing they would go back to Blake Brandel instead of Michael Juergens if he's back in the fold. But that's also like a huge question mark. And then you got the weapons back. You got Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, Jalen Naylor, a great 3 wide receiver combo. Jordan Mason, love him. And then also TJ Hawkinson. He's played some good football over the last couple of weeks. And, the offense for the Vikings, it's only going to get better throughout the season. You have overcame so much this year offensively. You had Carson Wentz starting. You lost J.J., you lost Aaron Jones. You were on 4 backup offensive linemen for the second half against the Cleveland Browns. And everything the Vikings went through during the first 5 weeks, I think will pay huge dividends at the end because we have talked about as fans, we don't want to peak in September anymore. We don't want to peak in October, peak in November. We want to play our best football when it matters the most, and that's what the Vikings are set up to do right now. They went through a whole lot. All the injuries, losing Cashman, Van Ginkel, 2 international games. No team in the NFL has gone through more over the first 5 weeks than the Minnesota Vikings, and still at the end of the day, the win-loss column, you're 3-2. I will take that with everything we overcame. Because if you had told me before the season, all the injuries that would have piled up during the first 5 weeks, but we still would be 3-2, I would take that in a heartbeat. And I still think if the Vikings stayed healthy throughout the first 5 weeks, we're talking about this team probably being 4-1, if not 5-0. So I think they're going to start peaking at the right time, but it all starts Week 7 against the Eagles. It's going to be a tough matchup. You got the defending Super Bowl champs coming in your building, and that's really when I think that's when the season really begins for us Vikings fans. So will the Vikings win a playoff game this year? Is this finally the year under Kevin O'Connell he gets that first playoff win? You guys, let me know your thoughts. Give me a Y for yes or give me an N for no. Drop your thoughts in the comments section. Now, coming up next on the show, I see a lot of fans freaking out about the defense. They can't stop the run. They're not feeling too good about this defense being a top 5 unit. I'll debunk that here shortly. But before we do so, I want to give a massive shout out to today's presenting sponsor, and that is Factor Meals. Now, if you guys want to eat smart, head over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping for 1 whole year. Now, fall always feels like a reset. Between back to school, busy routines, and shorter days, finding time to cook can be tough. That's why I love Factor. Their chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals make it easy to stay on track and enjoy something comforting and delicious, no matter how hectic the season gets. Now, why I love Factor, they have more variety, more meals. Choose from a wider selection of weekly meal options, including premium seafood choices like salmon and shrimp, at no extra cost. Also, if you guys are a health nut, they support your wellness goals and elite level. Enjoy even more GLP-1 friendly meals and new Mediterranean diet options packed with protein and good for you fats. So head on over to factormeals.com/VikingsChat50 off and use promo code VikingsChat50 off, and we'll hook you guys up with 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. That's code VikingsChat50 off at factormeals.com for 50% off your first box plus free breakfast for 1 year. Get delicious, ready-to-eat meals delivered with Factor. Now, this offer is only valid for new Factor customers with code and qualifying auto-renewing subscription purchase. But hit that link in the comment section and description of today's show. All right, let's talk about the defense and pretty much make the case why fans just need to pump the brakes a little bit. I understand. Has this defense been, that best in the league like we would have hoped to start the season? No, not necessarily, but still across the board, they are a top 5 unit. I mean, the stats overall speak to that. 5th in yards per game, 307.2, fantastic. Passing yards per game, 157.6. If you would have told me that before the season, I would have probably said they have the best defense in the league, but the problem has been the rush yards per game, 132.2. That's 24th in the league. That's got to improve, but I'll talk about why that will improve here in a second. And then points per game, you're still a top 5 scoring defense, 19.4 points per game. And then the Brian Flores special stat, third down percentage, he still got it, 30.2%, which is second in the NFL. But specifically the Vikings in pass coverage this year, they're top in the league according to the EPA. A negative, 0.23, number 1. Texans coming at number 2. And the Jags, Broncos, and Chiefs follow suit. So the Vikings, clearly one of the best pass defenses in the league. Now, I also think that attributes to the defensive line. Even though the edge group hasn't been getting home for sacks, they've been generating pressures like one of the best in the league. And I think what is so massive about this defense and why I'm extremely optimistic about them turning around, the Vikings' biggest concern heading into the season was the secondary. Because we all talked about, one, can Byron Murphy maintain the level of play he had this past season? Can Isaiah Rodgers be a true lockdown number 2 corner? And then how can you manage losing Cameron Bynum and also Harrison Smith being, in and out of the lineup with this illness? The secondary has still been fantastic. They are the best secondary according to the EPA per play in the entire National Football League. But the huge negative around the defense so far has been stopping the run. But the run defense will improve. I have no doubt in my mind about that. The Vikings, in terms of rush defensive success rate, with and without Andrew Van Ginkel and Blake Cashman, it is a huge gap. They are number 1 this season when both those guys are in the lineup, but when they're not, they're 31st in the league. So you can't downplay AVG and Cashman not playing. I think sometimes as fans, like injuries, we just kind of say, oh, you can manage, next man up mentality. Like Flores will get it right on that side of the field. But when you're losing your second and third best defensive player and also guys that are very important to the system as a whole, you're going to feel that impact. And Flores is kind of gambled a little bit. He said, all right, we'll, suffer a little bit in terms of the run defense, but we'll still be elite in coverage and elite on the outside, which once you get those 2 guys back, you should be stopping the run at a high level. Then you'll be able to force them into more 3rd and longs, which just improve the defense overall. And listen, I would not be shocked at the end of the year if we're talking about the Vikings being top 10 in both total offense and total defense, because they will be top 5 for sure in total defense. Now, could they be top 3? I think that's definitely on the table. I mean, shoot, man, they could be top 2, if not, the best defense in the league, in my opinion. And also, I think they're going to eventually have a top 10 offense. I just think with Kevin O'Connell, with how much, money they put into that offensive line and, just all of those assets they put in there, like a first-round pick, paid big money to Kelly, paid big money to Fries. Once they get all 5 of those guys out there, hopefully by week 10, this offense should be humming, and then you just let J.J. McCarthy develop. because that's really what it's going to come down to this season. Can he develop one? Can he be a serviceable starter in the NFL? That's a huge question mark. And I will say this over and over again. The Vikings are the biggest wild card in the NFL. Who the hell knows what football team this is in 2025? We haven't gotten a good evaluation because of the injuries. Like, the biggest question mark around the Vikings heading into the season was J.J. McCarthy. We still don't have a good, pulse on how good he can truly be for this year specifically. So it's going to be a very fun rest of the year. But if they are going to achieve their goals, it's going to be because of the defense. So you guys let me know. The Vikings are the blank best defense in the NFL. I mean, they're for sure top 5. I mean, they're top 5 right now with all the injuries. So once they get healthy, get AVG, get Cashman back, they should be a top 3 unit. But you guys let me know your thoughts. The Vikings are the blank best defense in the NFL. And also hit that subscribe button on your way out. We'll keep you guys posted with everything you need to know around your favorite football team. And we appreciate all of you guys watching this entire show. We'll get on out of here. As always, Skol Vikes.